Alright guys, Professor Roberto here. Just going to give you guys some video content so you guys can stay active, working out at home. This is a good time to really refine some of the basic movements that we go over. So the first thing that I'm going to do for you guys this week is break down some of the exercises that we do in the warm-ups, because it's very important that we do these correctly. They will help your jiu-jitsu and also help keep you in shape. So the very first one is just going to be the sprawl. This is something that everybody learns when they first start off. All the kids do it on the very first day, but we want to make sure we get a couple details, okay? So whenever we're practicing the sprawl, we always have our feet moving just to stay active, okay? And whenever we say the number or we say the command sprawl, when we're practicing just by ourselves, we put our hands on the floor first. So I put my hands on the mat first to brace. Now, if I was really sprawling and somebody was grabbing my legs, I would just put my chest on top of their back. But for practices, hands go down, and now I'm gonna stretch my legs and I'm gonna put my hips on the ground. Okay, it's very important that I keep my laces down. I know I don't have shoes on, but you have to have your laces down, not your toes. It's very important. And then I pop back up. So one more time, I'm moving my feet, right? Hands go down first, and then I stretch my legs and put my hips down. We want to avoid a very common mistake, which is that people will, do like that, right? Which can hurt your knees, and in a live situation, it will not defend the takedown. So that's a good exercise that you can do. Is just sprawl. You can do 2 sets of 10 and it'll get you a good warm up, okay? Second exercise is the break fall. Now, the break fall, we wanna make sure that we protect the back of our head so that our head doesn't slam on the ground, and we protect our arms by not posting, okay? So I'm going to just squat as low as I can. We always go to the froggy position here, Jiu-Jitsu frog, right? Back straight. Now I'm gonna tuck my chin and I'm gonna roll back, breaking my fall there. Look how my legs come with me, so that way I'm able to roll back if I need to. Okay, so view from the side here. So I'm gonna tuck my chin. Okay, I'm gonna begin to roll back. With my arms are gonna about the mat here, the bottom part of my arm. You can see the back of my head never touch the ground right there. This is another good exercise. You can do a set of 10 or maybe 2 to help get the blood flowing. All right, now move on to another exercise, which is the bridge. The bridge is very important because it helps you get the person's weight off of you and create distance. So to do a bridge, a proper bridge, we want to make sure that we get our feet in as close as possible, just like this. And I'm going to be on the balls of my feet here. Now I'm going to extend my hip up all the way. This is about your hips here. I want to get my hip up really high. And then in the warm-up, we always angle to one side as we're bridging to the side. And then I come back down, and then I go up to the other side, trying to get a full extension. So I'm not staying up like this, right? And I'm definitely not just turning side to side like we see a lot of the time, right? Get the hip up on the balls of the feet there. So right now I'm both of my shoulders. I go to one, I come all the way back down, and then I go to the other side, okay? So that is the bridge, which is another exercise that we do a lot in the warm-up. So it's good to get sharp on this during this time. Now, one that's very important as well is the X-choke sit-up. This is good to build our core, right? And it also helps build our wrists, because we have to have this wrist action if we want to be able to perform the X-choke. So this is a good time to work on 2 different things, your core and also your wrist action, okay, for the kiddos. So I'm gonna make sure we have our legs crossed as if somebody was in my guard, right? And now I'm gonna have my hands in that X-choke position, and I wanna make a fist. So I'm always gonna be curling the wrist, and my shoulders are gonna be coming off the mat every time I do that X-choke sit-up. And I'm curling my wrist. That's as if I'm pulling myself up here, and I'm bringing my shoulders off the mat to make sure we engage a good core workout. Now, the next exercise, this one's gonna be a little bit more advanced. So maybe not for the kids 1, which is 4 to 6, but the 7 to 9 kids 2, they should all be doing this every day in their warm-up, because this is very important to be able to move our hip. We use the hip escape a lot in Jiu-Jitsu. One of the most used techniques that we do in the warm-up that applies to Jiu-Jitsu is the hip escape, or the shrimp as we call it. So it's very important that we learn this movement. Now, this might be a little complicated for the 4 to 6 year olds, although I do encourage you to try. But the 7 and 9 year olds in the Kids 2 program, you guys do this regularly, so this should be one of your warm-up exercises, okay? So what I'm gonna do with the hip escape is I'm going to start here, and I need to be on my side for the hip escape, so I cannot be flat on my back. So I'm simply gonna stretch one leg. This leg's gonna be more relaxed, it's the one I'm escaping, and I'm gonna turn to my side here, okay? Now what I wanna do is I wanna make my hip go backwards, so I'm gonna use my leg that's posted here to help push myself back, but at the same time, my head will go forward with my arms, pretending like I'm pushing on a wall here, because I might be framing on somebody. So I bring this foot really close to my hip. Now I'm gonna lift my hip up just a little bit, and now I push my hip back as my head and my arms go forward, almost like I'm reaching for my toes. Now, if we were practicing in place, I could just pull myself back, and then I could switch my legs. I turn on my side, so look, I'm on my shoulder here. I lift my hip up, and now I can push it back as my hands go forward. And then I can just come back to the center here. If you have space, you can, of course, keep pushing yourself backwards, working down a line. But if you don't have too much space, you could just stay in place. So those are some really good exercises for you guys to do to warm up before getting into some techniques. All right.